This video is related to edTPA Elementary Handbook, Task 4, Creating a Mathematics Assessment. You're going to select one assessment from your 3-lesson learning segment that you'll use to evaluate your students. It should be completed by the whole class. And I think it's best if you create a rubric for the assessment before you teach the lesson. This is an example of a rubric assessment chart that will be helpful in organizing your data. Do this before you teach your lesson. You want to create a chart that lists the student names on the left and then that gives them a score for each of the 3 major aspects of the math lesson. So they get a score for their conceptual understanding, they get a score for their fluency, and they get a score for problem solving. I like to use the scale of 1 is not demonstrated, 2 is partially demonstrated, and 3 is fully demonstrated, but you can use whatever scale you want. This is very important because you have to analyze your data in the commentary based on these 3 parts of the math learning. So you need to know what that is before you teach your lesson so that you know what to look for. So what is it going to look for if your students have conceptual understanding? What is it going to look for if your students have computational fluency? And what will it look like if they're problem solving well? And then you can use both your observations of the students and their work samples, their actual work that they handed in for the assessment to score them in those 3 areas. So it's not going to be like you're scoring them right or wrong. It's going to be where were their strengths and where were their weaknesses. And then you are going to carry out the lessons and the assessment. You're going to collect 3 work samples from students who did not get everything correct. It's important that you choose 3 people that had at least something that they struggled with. You can also video record if you want to use video work samples. Sometimes in the lower grades, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade, where the kids are not writing, but maybe they're working with manipulatives or something, you could video record instead of a written work sample. Otherwise, you just need to collect the written work samples from 3 focus students. And remember that one of the focus students must have special learning needs. So again, carry out your lessons in your assessment and save the scores that your students got on the assessment. You're going to use that in the commentary, which we're going to talk about next.